everyone, I'm Lisa Wind. I've just blown in. And today we are back for more Seduce Me 2, The Demon Wars. Last time, I did some training, and then I tried to make it back to my room, and people keep interrupting me, so I'm still trying to get back to my room. Oh, yeah, and I dropped the ball on that lead. Damien might be able to be human again, or it might kill him. We're not sure. Good times. And we don't know what Damien feels about it or what decision he's going to make. But hopefully we'll be able to get that sorted out soon. With that said, let us dive back in. I trekked to my room, letting the day fade to the back of my memories, as I remembered Diane's words to Damien. She would have a ritual set up for him, as he wanted to be human. But the choice was his. Exactly. A part of me screamed to stop him. The rest of his life wasn't worth it, but it was something he desired more than anything. The fix seemed simple, but it was deadly. I could lose the man I loved over something trivial. But was it trivial? No, clearly it's not to Damien.
Of course it is.
What the heck are you? Question mark, question mark, question mark. I wasn't surprised anymore. Glaring at the floors, the voice made themselves known in my head.
He's being selfish.
Is
Why
he?
be a human when he could be happy with you as a demon? Why does this change have to happen?
She kind of has a point at the same time. It's his choice. It's what he wants.
But what do you want? You're the one about to sign your life away to him forever and ever. Shouldn't your opinion matter whether he becomes a human or stays a demon?
It should be considered, but it shouldn't be the final decision. At the end of the day, this is Damien needing to come to terms with Damien. I can be supportive, or I can try and stop him. My mind began to agree, but wasn't that selfish within itself? Exactly. Was I truly that important, to where I was allowed to decide Damien's choices, because I was his soon-to-be wife? No, you're that important after you're his wife. Come on. And also, that's very clearly a joke. I continued forward, letting the dark chuckle from the voice reverberate in my head into a simple echo. This was my choice, and the voice needed to stay out of it. Whatever it was, I would deal with it in due time. That's a lot of its. Wait, is the scary clown gonna show up? For now, my focus was on Damien. Hey, sweetie! And hey, you're not drunk! Cool. I reached our room to see Damien standing by the door, obviously waiting for me. As he caught sight of me, he smiled slightly and walked over, meeting me halfway.
Hey.
Hey yourself, handsome. Hey. I couldn't mask the worry in my voice. I was nervous, frightened beyond anything else about this. There was a lot at stake, and I became witness and potential victim to it all, with each minute that passed. But would Damien listen? Would he understand? What would he do if I voiced my worries? Would he give a damn about the risks? Did he give a damn? Well, that's why you need to have a conversation with him. Hopefully, as the man that you're going to marry, you're capable of talking. Communication is so frickin' important in relationships. I gazed into his eyes, seeing hopeful fire burn within them. His answer was clear while mine wasn't. I was completely uncomfortable to be in my skin, but I had to accept that this was an obstacle we had to face one way or another. Damien took up my hand and held them to his chest.
Would you be upset with me if I went through with it?
I'd be afraid for you. I don't think that's the same thing as upset. A part of me felt like screaming, begging for him to reconsider. The other part of me wanted to simply shake my head and accept what was about to occur. I was completely torn. I gripped onto Damien's hand, clinging for something to soothe me, make me feel at ease. When nothing came, I scrambled to try and answer him. If it makes you happy, then do it. Please don't, it's too risky. At the end of the day, it is his body and his choice. I would personally rather prefer if he could make some peace with himself and his powers, rather than going to the ultimate extreme of a ritual that is going to change me forever. But at the end of the day, it is not her body, it's his, and he needs to be the one comfortable living in his shell. So if it makes you happy, then do it. I had to accept it. It wasn't my choice to make it all. It wasn't fair to Damien to demand that he change his mind for me. Besides, I loved him no matter what. Human or demon, he was still the man I loved. Exactly. Priorities here. I stared into Damien's eyes as I gripped his hands and hugged them to me lovingly. I could see the pure joy in Damien's eyes as he stared down at me, tears lacing the edges. I love you no matter what you are. If you truly wish to be human, then let's do everything we can to make that happen. Before I let Damien reply, however, I brought his hands to my lips, kissing over them with a now worried expression. I was still scared. I could lose him. But please, please, don't you dare die on me. I can't bear to live without you. Damien nodded and leaned in. Damien nodded and leaned him? Okay, I did read that right. It does say leaned him. Kissing over my forehead gingerly.
I will do everything I can to survive it.
You'd better. A wave of relief washed over me, just from his words. Maybe he was enthralling me to calm down, or maybe his love simply reassured me that everything would be all right. Either way, this was happening. I looked up at him and caressed his cheek, feeling him lovingly nuzzle into my palm. Then let's tell Diana. A smile danced along Damien's lips before he wrapped his arms around me and buried his head in my shoulder. I could hear him whimper a bit in happiness as I wrapped my arms around him, pulling him close.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I could faintly hear the voice in my head scoff.
Wow, you're really going to let him die?
Fuck off.
Sad. I guess you'll have to prepare a funeral instead of a wedding.
I have a kick. Well, actually, no, my wedding dress got destroyed for this outfit. Oh. Oh well. He's not dead yet. Shut up. I rolled my eyes and held Damien tighter. I wouldn't listen to it anymore. I believed in our love more than anything. Good job. Keep going that route. We would be okay. The 2 days that followed came filled with work from Diana and her group. Upon Damien's request, Diana ordered a massive search for everything needed for the transmutations ritual that would normally be used to make a human a demon. This will only end in good. The worry of the ritual bubbled in my core, but I was going to be all right. This was something Damien and I decided together, and this was going to make Damien happy. That was all that mattered in the end. Of course, the experience wouldn't have been great, even without the lovely voice in my head, trying to convince me otherwise. I settled that voice with some form of worry or some sort of regret. I was holding that was morphed to represent Diana, the one who placed the worry there years ago. We haven't talked to anyone about this at all? Not even Damien? Okay. I would beat it out as soon as Damien returned to me as a human. As the 7th day arrived, the ritual was prepared and ready for us. The others gave us their own concerns and wishes, hoping for the best regardless of what happened. We were positive that we would be okay. Woo! Let's go, we got this. Entering the war room, Diane looked over the pair of us, nodding and stepping away from the table. On it were arranged purple and gold candles, all lit with black, but somehow illuminating flames that flickered in the air gently. It seemed mystical and shadow-like, but if this was how it was done, then it was how it was done. There was space in the center of the table for a body to lay down, within the circle of candles, making it clear what had to happen. We flip the table and run for our lives? Diana gestured to the table, looking to Damien and pointing to the large space between the arranged candles.
Lie down when you are ready.
Okay. You got this. See you on the other side. Damien nodded before turning to me and smiling, taking my hand and kissing it.
You'll be here when it's over, right?
Of course. I nodded, smiling up at him and kissing his hand in return. I will, I promise. A smile was exchanged between us before Damien looked at Diana and walked to the table, stepping up on a block that was placed for him near the table to let him climb up with ease. And hopefully he is going to his destiny and not the executioner's block. As Damien settled onto the table, Diana walked over to me and took my hand, guiding me towards the table as well. Oh? Yeah, maybe we should have done a dress rehearsal last night.
A theory. Indulge me.
Cool. I watched as Diana guided me to a chair beside the table, letting me sit on it before taking Damien and my hands and clasping them together.
This is part of the ritual?
It is now.
No, but it's a theory I have that might help.
Okay, cool. Diana closed her eyes and wrapped her hands around Damien's and mine, letting a soft purple glow emanate from them and circle around our hands.
You are human and are full of energy.
Yep.
If something falters, we can use your energy to rekindle it and resume the ritual.
Okay. I'm cool with this. Thank you, Dee. Fear sank into my core, remembering the risk of the transformation, but at least Diana was trying to find ways to make the ritual work. It was rather thoughtful. Yeah, it's almost like she's a good person or something. Damien smiled at me before laying his head back and staring at the ceiling. I squeezed his hand as Diana removed her hands from our clasped ones. Purple magic continued to dance around our hands as I smiled back at Damien.
Ready?
You got this. Woo! Damien and I nodded at the same time, before both of us closed our eyes. I could hear Diana step back and mutter under her breath. Some sort of Latin incantation I couldn't dissect. As she did, the energy around the room began to pulse and wave like an ocean in a storm. The air began to brush against my skin, causing me to look down at Damien, seeing the black fire around the candles around him intensify in their illumination. I tightened my hold on Damien's hand and shut my eyes again, desperate and hopeful. This had to work. It had to.
It won't work.
Fuck off. We've covered this. In the darkness of my mind, the voice appeared, making me grimace. Leave me alone.
I'm telling the truth. It won't work. He'll die and you'll be all alone. All because you wanted to make him...
I don't want to make him anything other than happy. Ignore it, shut up. Yeah, I'm gonna ignore it. It's not worth answering. My silence in reply made the voice silence itself. I had enough of its torment. I'm tormenting you. It's teasing and prodding. Nothing was going to go wrong. Keep telling yourself that.
Ignoring me won't change the truth of the matter.
And might. You don't know. I took in a breath and focused myself, remaining calm and hopeful. I know what you are. Do we? Are we sure?
Then say it. Make me believe it.
As I stared into the dark, I could feel a small smile grace my lips. It was clear who the voice was now. You're my worries, my doubt. You are my emotions intensified and transformed into some sort of haunting being in my head. How did we come to this conclusion? Question mark, question mark, dot, dot, dot. Its silence became my confirmation. I had personified my worries and my doubts, and they had become a voice in my head, trying to guide me towards the wrong choices. As I was magically inclined, it became an actual shadow that haunted my thoughts and dreams, feeding off of my fear and dread and becoming part of me I couldn't shake off easily. However, now I could. With the transformation, I would finally destroy it. Destroy. I'm okay with that. I was wrong to doubt Damien. I was wrong to doubt myself. This was what we needed, and nothing is going to keep us from the goal we want to achieve. We will defeat the Demon Lord, go home, and live happily together as humans. I wanted to be firm. I wanted to stand strong. As I finished speaking, however, the voice simply chuckled.
But if Damien becomes a human, he'll die at the Demon Lord's hands.
Okay, that's also a valid point. Yes, we should do this ritual, but maybe we should have waited till after the war. You know? I gasped as memories of my nightmare flashed before my eyes. Damien was a human in the nightmare, dying by sacrificing himself for my sake. Oops. The simple realization shook my core, making me fearful once again. If Damien became human, I'd lose him anyway. My soul became heavy and racked with doubt.
There we are. You cannot win this little battle with me. Either way, you lose.
I haven't lost anything yet so long as Damien and I are both breathing. Don't think of Damien. I'm just gonna think of Damien. I began to flood my mind with thoughts of Damien, of our love in the human world. We were so happy and joyous together, forgetting the worries of the world and simply living with each other. There was no greater love story than that story. I'm sorry, that sentence just didn't make sense to me for a moment. There was no greater love story than our love story would make sense. Oh well. Anyway, moving on. I lived with him and would continue to love him until the end of time. Or one or both of us is dead, you know. Uh-oh.
No!
No, indeed. Damien and Diana's voices ripped me from my thoughts. Gasping at the sight I became the witness to upon opening my eyes. Damien's body became engulfed in black flames from the candles, the fire wrapping around his body like a cocoon of chains. Uh-oh. Damien!
Focus your energy and save him!
Trying. I slammed my free hand into the hand that I was clasping tightly, uncaring that the flames were looking at me as well. I dug my hands into his hand, shutting my hands tightly. How many hands do I have? Am I an octopus? Don't leave me, please. Fight this. Take me in. You know what? Take me instead. Life's not living if we're not together. I wasn't going to let death take him. If death was taking anyone, it would be me. I'm pretty sure this isn't The Sims, and the Grim Reaper isn't just going to come strolling in here anytime soon. The flames, as if they accepted my terms, quickly began to snake off of Damien's body and up his hand to me, wrapping me in the tight embrace, burning over my skin. Ah! No! Is it just gonna kill us both? The flames began to encase us, blinding my nerves in endless pain and wrapping my mind in agony. In the last attempt to live, Damien sat up and wrapped his arms around me, clinging to me tightly.
I won't let you go!
You better not. I mean, no, don't let go. I winced through the pain between us and gripped Damien in return, the flames intensifying in our embrace. I won't let you go either. I was in tears, hoping deep within my heart that we would live. I loved him, and he loved me. We needed to survive. In a burst of white light, Damien and I were suddenly pushed from each other.
Ah!
Yeah, indeed. Ah! The light became blinding. My body felt warm, but there was suddenly no pain. There was no fire around me, no damage done. I was just wrapped in a white light. Was I dead? Potentially. My lungs still took in air. My heart was still beating and my skin felt as warm. I was alive. Then what happened? The spell worked? Question mark? Slowly the light faded from the room, revealing the war room once again. I had fallen to the ground, aches rushing through my body as I looked around. What did we do? Not something fun on this table, that's for sure. Hi there. As my eyes locked onto Damien, I gasped, seeing him floating in the air with a large black orb floating in front of his body. His eyes were lifeless, but his skin was still saturated with life. Damien! Latin! Diana's voice forced me to look over, gasping as she glared hard at Damien and held out her hand at the orb in front of him. The orb began to tickle an inky black energy that danced through the air and sailed towards Diana's hands, burning into her palm and fading into her skin. She winced as the veins within her purple, tinted skin began to glow a black color, snaking through her bloodstream through her hands. As the black energy left the orb began to lighten from a pure black to a silver to finally a white. This was happening. Damien was becoming human. Or an angel. Was the orb finally developed a pure white color? The orb floated into Damien's body and made him gasp out for air, eyes finally brimming with life. Damien fell forward, causing me to reach out and capture him in my arms. He instinctively wrapped his arms around me and toppled over, landing with me on the floor and him on top of me. Oof. I've seen enough anime, I know this pose by heart. Despite the pain in my body, I would feel Damien breathing, hear his heart beating, see his eyes as they looked down at me in complete shock and disbelief. I felt surprise run through my own mind and emotions. We did it! We had done it! I lifted a weak arm and cupped Damien's cheek. See him take everything in. Damien, are you okay? Yes? I was sure he was lost on what to say. I was as well. I felt tears gather in my eyes as I wrapped my arms around him and hugged him tightly. You're alive. And human. I could feel it in my soul. He was a human, like me. He had gotten his wish, and he was alive to see it. Damien began to shudder in my arms, agreeing with my statement and hugging me tightly, crying into my shoulder. I thanked every deity I knew, every star in the sky. It worked. It really worked. Aw, good for you. Why is Diana still loud Latin chanting? I looked over at Diana to see her form a large gem in her unaffected hand and slam it into her palm directly over the source of the black vein, dancing up her arm. They slowly stopped their ascent up her arm and began to trickle down into the gem. The jewel that was once pure and clear, like a cut diamond, became black like an onyx. Ugh. As the last of the black energy faded from Diana, she toppled over and gripped the gem to her chest, making sure not to land on it.
God damn it all.
Thank you? And you okay? I couldn't help but stop the happy laughter that erupted from me at the realization of it all. Everything was okay now. We were all right. Damien lifted his head up and slowly pulled me up to where we were both sitting up. Pick another word other than up. Wiping his eyes and smiling from ear to ear at me in pure happiness. I smiled and leaned in, kissing his nose gently. We did it. Damien nodded and hugged me to him before looking over at Diana, seeing her look up at us with an unamused grimace. Thank you, Dee.
You almost lost your lives. And you're smiling.
Uh-huh. We do crazy shit for love. Damien and I looked at each other before Damien let out a breath and hugged me to his side.
Humans are always risking their lives.
Uh-huh.
You wouldn't understand.
True. I laughed, as did Damien, while Diana rolled her eyes and slowly stood up, still gripping the gem in her hands. As we stood, Diana tossed the gem at Damien.
Huh? What is this?
What does it look like, sweetie?
Your weapon against the Demon Lord. That gem holds all of your powers, and is slowly intensifying its power. Break it, and you'll be able to use your powers one last time at full potential.
Interesting. And, this also answers the question of, what are we gonna do in the fight if Damien can't really defend himself? I stared wide-eyed at Diana. Where did this come from? Diana looked back at me and crossed her arms, raising an eyebrow.
You're not the only one who saw Damien's fate in a dream.
Really?
I'd rather not see another person die at the Demon Lord's hands, no matter who it is. And I'd rather not be blamed for it.
Also, you knew I was having visions? Why the fuck didn't we talk about that? It would have relieved so much anxiety, and you chose to say nothing. I was stunned. Dan had seen it too. She let out a sigh and began to walk towards the exit of the room, most likely drained from the experience. Yeah, most likely.
We head out in the morning. I will brief everyone of the plan once we get to the Demon Lord's castle.
Okay. Night, Dee. Don't wear your bodyguard out too much. 'Cause he's a good little puppy. With that, Diana left us alone. Damien gripped to me and looked down at me, cradling the gem in his hands in amazement.
So, we're set.
It sure looks that way, doesn't it? I nodded happily. Yeah. Our private moment was interrupted by the rushing of the incubi and their wives into the room, most likely being let in by Diana after she left.
Everything good?
We're both alive. Big thumbs up. Damien and I looked at each other in shock before nodding to the group, hugging each other lovingly. Yep, just two humans cuddling. The group seemed to be excited at the news, gathering around us and visually checking us for any wounds or bruises. To my surprise as well, there were none, even after the attack from the Black Flames. Dana really pulled through. Yeah, it's like she's a good person or something. Damien, now being crowded, pushed everyone back, pocketing the gem. Yeah, let's not set off the bomb.
We're okay. We're okay.
Also, do not break the gem. We will not live.
We still need to check on you, Damien, to make sure.
Guys, space. I giggled and stepped away from Damien, kissing his cheek. I was exhausted and needed to go to bed before I passed out in Damien's arms. Room the whole ordeal. Huh? Before I passed out in Damien's arms. Room the whole... That... What the frick were they trying to say there? Before I passed out in Damien's arms, period? I'm not sure room the whole ordeal means. It feels very clunky and awkward. Let them check you out, Damien. I'll be in the room. Damien stared before nodding, understanding that I needed rest before surrendering himself to the scanning eyes of his brothers. I took the moment to wave to others and sneak out towards my room. I finally returned to our room and flopped onto the bed, letting the events of my time in the Abyssal Plains replay in my mind. I was trapped here, and soon enough I was about to go marching into battle against the Demon Lord for my freedom. The more I thought about it, the more surreal the feeling became. I was going to be in the room, meeting powerful adversary face to face, and set myself free of the curse he brought me down upon me. Yeah, that's gonna happen soon. As Damien entered the room at last, I smiled and stood, walking over and wrapping my arms around him, as he returned my embrace.
Tonight is our last night here.
Yeah. We should probably pack suitcases, make sure we have everything we're taking with us. If there's any toiletries we need, we should leave them out just so we have them for the morning, and then... Oh, right, it's not that kind of trip. Yeah. We held each other, locked in silence and unable to say anything more. We had been in a heavy predicament, and we worked through it. It was something we did together. Exactly. All we could do in the moment was hold each other and listen to our synchronized heartbeats. As the thought of tomorrow danced in my head, I began to fear it even more. Was I ready to go into battle? Was Damien? Yeah, that's a good question now that he's human. Or any of us for that matter. We were about to walk into the final battle of a world war. Would we survive? Would I live to see Damien afterwards and feel his embrace again? Tomorrow brought too many questions to think about, and I became frustrated and scared. Yeah, if this is potentially our last night together, get those pants off, sweetie. I needed to hold him and treat the night like it was the last night of the world. Tomorrow was unpredictable, but tonight was guaranteed. I wrapped my arms tightly around Damien, burying my hands in his orange hair as he slowly encircled his arms around my waist. Damien pulled me close, knowing exactly what I wanted to do. Scrabble? Damien slowly stepped us back towards the bed and fell forward onto it, pinning me down to the mattress of his body as he claimed my lips of his own. I combed my fingers through his hair lovingly. Each touch of his fingers embedded themselves into my memory, as I took his scent, his warmth, his kiss over my skin. I barely felt him slowly ease my legs apart and kneel between them as he danced his tongue against mine. A part of me, however, felt a bit bold. I wrapped my arms and legs around Damien before rolling us over to where I straddled his hips, surprising him. As he looked up at me in shock, I smirked down at him, lovingly. You've worked so hard. Damien, let me reward you. Damien gulped slightly, taking in this new turn of events, before leaning in and kissed him ever so sweetly, brushed my hands over his chest and feeling his skin beneath my fingers. As he quaked beneath me, I felt the rush of pride run through me. I liked this a bit. I would explore it further, undressing us as slow as possible and grinding myself against him. His hands, not bound anywhere, caressed over the skin available to him, as his eyes became lost in my form. While a mild form of shyness rushed through me, I had to run through with the mood. I wouldn't let myself get out of this swing of heat between us, even as his hands rubbed against every weak spot I had. As it became unbearable to deny ourselves our carnal need any longer, we ravished each other and finally made love, gripping each other and letting our moans become lost to each other's mouths and shoulders. Damien's hands combed over my back as I dragged my fingers along his chest, seeing red welts of my dragging slightly form over his skin. It was erotic to see, but as Damien's hands locked themselves onto my hips and began to guide our rhythm, I became lost in pleasure with it and me instead. The bed creaking only became louder and faster and rougher we became. We were uncaring as to who was around us, or who would hear us. We were dancing through a euphoria together, and we weren't going to be stopped. It was perfect ecstasy from beginning to end. When Damien wrapped his arms around me and held me close, both of us quaking in our embrace. I could only stare into Damien's gorgeous purple and blue eyes, becoming lost in them as exhaustion began to crawl through me. I love you, Damien. Forever.
I love you too. My life is yours.
Aww. We both passed out in each other's arms, lost in our bliss. The world didn't matter until the morning, but even then we knew we'd be all right. Aww. Hopefully, that's a correct assumption. Or hopefully that will be a correct assumption. Tomorrow would decide everything. Yep. And the dramatic music is here. However, just to hop back, I am running out of time for this session. And hopefully next time we will be getting to the conclusion of the first of Damien's routes. So, until next, Takalikatilak Hido.